How many of you have houses or know people that have houses? Almost everybody, right? So now imagine the unthinkable that you lose your home or your parents' home, the place you grew up in, or like where your memories are. The bank took your home and now it's abandoned. You decide to go by and see how it is just for old time's sake, and you find out that someone has moved in. Some stranger is living in your house in the room where you slept in, but you still see a sign saying bank owned, foreclosed, all that type of stuff. And then, so you go up to the door to see who's living in it. You ring the doorbell, and you hear footsteps that come to the door. You see signs that say go away, no trespassing, but the person opens the door, and then he shuts it hard after he says no trespassing. Now you're pissed off. You're like, what the hell? Why did this guy shut the door on me? Like, why can't he just talk? So you do some investigating and you find out that no one's bought your house. So why is someone living in it? You come to realize that squatters are living in your home. Today I'll be talking to you about squatters, what squatters are, why they're a problem, and solutions to that problem. The term squatting means to find an abandoned piece of property, land, commercial structure, or home and move in without knowledge or permission of the owner. Now the first thing that would come to mind that this is illegal, and it's trespassing, breaking law, breaking and entering, among other crimes like burglary or fraud. But squatting is legal in California as well as many other states. According to the OC Weekly, the legal concept dates back 600 years. In agrarian European culture, it is believed it was better to have someone take over the property and make it a home rather than have it sit unoccupied and become unproductive eyesores. So squatters date back for hundreds of years, but in this day and age it shouldn't have any relevance. What is so bad about living in a house so it becomes occupied? Well, the problem with that is that they don't pay rent. Like at all, they don't pay any rent, so they basically live in there for free. They don't contribute to the society which they live in. Basically, freeloading off all of us, off of what we pay because we have to pay rent. They're freeloading off of the kindness and lack of legislature to change this policy, saying, "Hey, I'm going to live here, house free of rent and taxes, while you suckers pay taxes and rent." According to the OC Weekly, as much as 15% of abandoned homes will be or already have been squatters in them. According to this article in the New York Times, squatters lower property value on both the home they occupy and the surrounding homes, because like you don't want to live in a neighborhood where squatters are, because that just drags down your own property value. It makes you seem like your area is poor or something. Law as it stands now is that all person has to do is essentially become homeowners is find an abandoned house, change the locks, change the names on the bills, or even just on the mailbox in some states, and maintain the premises. Now in California, all you have to do is keep that up for 5 years and the house is legally yours. Sounds easy, right? But no, it's not. Reason being that when the real estate owners find out that what they've done, that they're going to be pissed and might take action in their own hands. The owner can just wait for you to leave the property, and then they could come reclaim it again. How can we stop this from happening? We can stop this by changing the policy to allow homeless people to stay there so they can get back on their feet, like give them hope. How is this different than someone else taking it over? It's different because the homeless don't have a place to go, so maybe if we help them out a little and encourage them to go further and do more things, instead of having some random freeloader who doesn't want to pay rent, they just squat on houses. Another solution would be to make sure that the house is occupied. To do that, the rent should be lower so people can afford to occupy it. People are money hungry and greedy. No one would want to lower their rent. But would you rather have a little profit from someone living in your home or no profit at all from a squatter occupying it? Even a loss of money could result in that because of the damages, and the squatters could have done it while they were in it. The last solution would be to have no signs saying if the home is vacant. Like, don't have foreclosed signs or bank signs or anything. Try to have a neighbor's car or like someone else's car parked in the driveway. Don't give the squatters a chance to see that the house is vacant. Today I talked about squatting. I've told you what it is and how it dates back, why we need to change the law so that squatters can't get away with this anymore, and I'm giving you some solutions to the squatter problem. I hope that none of you lose your homes in the future, but if you do, I hope you don't lose it twice, once to the bank and the other to squatters.
Allie, what'd you think?
I contacted the company going from budget for a lot, but I had to do
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to be on the recording either, but that's, I didn't say shout it, so I guess it'll be okay. All right, I think you've got an interesting topic. You set it up pretty well. At first it sounds like it's an informative, but when you get to that last section, it's clear that you do have a policy that you want to advocate. I think you need to do a little bit more research on the nature of this issue. I mean, it becomes a little self-defining when you say, well, you know, you don't want to have them in the neighborhood because it brings down the value of the neighborhood. Well, explain why it brings down the value of the neighborhood, what the impact is. Is there any statistical information on this? Is an expert talking about those kinds of things? The historical context is kind of interesting background information. The notion that you know, that somebody can legally take over the house. I'm sure that there's some other niceties and rules that have to be observed, and you should give us some source citations on those sorts of things too. I'm still trying to figure out why homeless people are better than squatters to have living in your house, and what the difference is between them is. If a squatter is somebody who merely is coming by to try and take the property and acquire it as a value as opposed to some place to live, okay, well then maybe that's what you're talking about, versus somebody who simply needs a roof over their head for the 3 weeks that they are, you know, stuck living in their car or something like that. There might be an argument there, but I think it needs a lot more development. On the presentation issues, I think your voice is pretty effective, but your eye contact is really problematic. You're reading way too much. You look down all the time, and I just think it needs to be developed a little bit more in terms of content and probably practiced a little bit more. But structurally it was fine, good ideas, could use a little bit extra information. All right, thank you.